One of the virgin maiden approached the egg, her heart trembling and her hands shaking, with tears in her eyes. But as she tried to touch the egg, she disappeared into the thin air. As the moon cast its ethereal glow upon the sleeping village, Ikemefula was swept into the depth of a haunting dream, a vision that left him trembling and drenched in sweat upon awakening. In his slumber, he witnessed a scene where Ijawole, heavily pregnant with child, was reaching out to touch the sacred egg of purity, only to vanish into the mist of uncertainty. With a heavy heart and a sense of urgency, Ikemefula shared the details of his dreams with Onowu and Obinna, his brother. Their expression, a mixture of concern and disbelief. Could this be a mere trick of the mind, or a glimpse into a dark reality yet to unfold? They knew not, but one thing was clear. Their fears for the safety of the maiden virgins had only deepened with Ikemefula's unsettling vision. In the quiet of the night, they gathered together in prayer to the gods, their voices rising in supplication to the gods for guidance and protection. With each whisper plea, they beseeched the divine forces to watch over the maiden virgins on their perilous journey, shielding them from harm and guiding them safely back to the embrace of their loved ones. Ikemefula, Onowu, and Obinna clung to hope amidst the uncertainty that laid ahead. Meanwhile, during the witch woman's last visit to the king Ikemba, she had warned the king not to allow the ancestral egg to make it to the land of Zuma. She went ahead to advise the king to station his most powerful men at every border of the land, so that when the egg bearer enters with the egg, she will be eliminated secretly. The witch went ahead to fortify King Ikemba heavily, in case the egg finds its way into the land, so that nothing will happen to him. As the witch woman's ominous words echoed in his head, King Ikemba felt a chill run down his spine, the weight of her warning settling heavily upon his shoulder. With a sense of urgency, he heeded her counsel, dispatching his most formidable warriors to stand guard at every border of Zuma Kingdom in the forest, their orders clear: to intercept and eliminate any who dare to bring the ancestral egg into their land. Meanwhile, in the depths of the ancient forest, the sacred quest for the ancestral egg took a startling turn, as two maidens vanished into thin air upon touching the egg. Fear gripped the hearts of the remaining five, their resolve shaken by the sudden disappearance of their companions. With tear-stained cheek and trembling voice, one brave maiden dared to ask the egg keeper what would become of them if none proved worthy to carry the egg home. Her response was chilling. She said, "Another 7 virgins will be chosen by the seer to embark on the same perilous journey should they fail." The remaining maidens pressed on, their hearts heavy with the weight of their tasks. One by one, they approached the egg, only to vanish into the unknown, leaving behind only whispered prayers and silent tears. And then, only Ijawole remained, her body trembling with fear as she approached the egg, her very being consumed by the overwhelming power that emanates from its ancient shell. With a trembling hand, she reached out to touch the egg, and in an instant, she too disappeared. She disappeared, but with the egg. She disappeared with the egg, leaving the egg keeper stunned by the unforeseen turn of events. And she asked the gods, how was that possible? How was someone impure able to hold the egg of life? The voice in the wind answered and said to her, the pregnant maiden found favor in the eyes of the gods because she carries in her womb the seed of the rightful king of the throne of Zumaland. Ijawele appeared in front of the shrine of the great seer with the egg. She doesn't recognize anyone anymore. The power of the egg overwhelmed her. Her body was occupied by the gods themselves. As Ijawele stood before the seer, her presence radiates with divine energy. The other 6 girls who disappeared while trying to carry the egg had already appeared at the shrine of the seer too. They were so happy and overjoyed when they saw Ijawele appear bearing the egg. The seer and the 6 virgins together, they bowed to Ijawele as she led them forth from the shrine into the kingdom, the sacred egg cradled in her hands. Word of the miraculous return spread like wildfire throughout the village, filling the hearts of the people with hope and wonder and happiness. As the news reached the ears of King Ikemba, he was scared. He found himself confronted with a mystery beyond his comprehension. The return of the virgins with the egg, despite his guards' vigilant watch over the forest borders. But when he remembered that the witch fortified him with spiritual powers heavily, he became fearless. Everyone in the village came out with something from their home as Ijawele approached with the egg, accompanied by the seer and the other 6 virgins. Everybody in the village came out with foodstuff from their home. Some came out with fowl, while some came out with goats. Others came out with foodstuff. Once the egg passes them, they hove whatever they have around their head and drop it on the floor and head home. The cleansing was done till they got to the palace. When they got to the palace, everybody in the palace was already waiting for the egg to come. Immediately the egg got to the palace. King Ikemba was amazed. Why is she pregnant? He asked the seer. I thought you said only virgins went for the mission. Why is she pregnant? The seer said to the king, she carries in her womb the seed of the true king of Zuma kingdom. The king was shocked. What sort of nonsense are you spilling with your mouth? He roared at the seer. The seer did not say a word. The seer only followed the egg bearer as she moved around the palace and left. When she approached the village square, other villagers were there. Onowu Ugonabo and his sons, Ikemefula and Obinna, they were there. Immediately, Ikemefula saw Ijawele. He wanted to go and touch her, but he was restrained by Onowu, who said to him, she is not the girl you used to know. Her body is occupied by the gods themselves. Do not go close so that you won't be harmed. Ijawele approached the stream. Immediately, she stepped her foot into the river. The river was clean as the daylight. All the traces of blood inside the village stream disappeared. Immediately, the heaven opened and there was a heavy rainpour on the land, eliminating every trace of drought. in their land. Meanwhile, King Ikemba was seen in his chambers. As he thought about what the seer said, he pondered who could be the person the seer was referring to. What does the seer mean by the seed of the rightful king of Zuma Kingdom? He could not believe it. He pondered over it and said, "No, I cannot watch what belongs to me be taken away. This is the rightful throne of my father, and it was passed down to me, his son. I cannot watch another take it away from me." He needs to find out who the pregnancy belongs to in order to eliminate the person immediately. Then he sent for the witch, but the witch could not enter into Zuma land anymore because of the presence of the egg of life. Then she sent message back to King Ikemba saying, "I have fortified you, King Ikemba. No mortal man can kill you. Also, no mortal weapon can pierce your body or harm you. So do not be afraid," she assured King Ikemba. Ikemba sent out his loyal men to trace, ask questions, make inquiries, ask the villagers to know who the pregnant maiden is carrying his child. The warriors were able to get the information that Ijawele and Ikemefula were lovers before they traveled to the forest in the quest to get the egg of life. When the report got back to King Ikemba, he was furious. He said, "Yes, I knew it. There is something about that young man. I felt it in my bone that there is something strange about him. I knew he is the one the seer spoke about." He started plotting on how to eliminate Ikemefula permanently so that there won't be any threat to his throne anymore. Ijawele, after the purification, carried the egg to the shrine of the seer, where the forest keeper appeared before them. The forest keeper appeared at the shrine of the seer. Then she declared the land of Zuma purified and free from evil. She told the seer, then she said to the seer, "Brace up yourself, wise one, for the main challenge and battle is yet to come." Then she carried the egg from Ijawele and disappeared into the thin air. Ijawele slumped and passed out. The seer administered different herbs to Ijawele in order to revive her back to life. Ikemefula was pacing around the house. He was restless as he thought of Ijawele. After a moment, he stood up and said to his brother Obinna, "I can't take this anymore. I need to go and look for the love of my life. At least make sure that she is okay." Obinna tried to convince him to stay back, but he was not having any of it. He stood up and left. On his way, heading towards the village path, King Ikemba's men abducted him. They covered his face with a sack bag as they dragged him into the forest. They covered his face with sackcloth. He couldn't see anything. They were pulling him towards the forest. They tied his mouth that he cannot shout for help. He was only struggling and praying to the gods in his heart. King Ikemba's men followed the instruction of the king, which is simple. Eliminate him in the bush, bury him there. Let no one know where he is or what happened to him, and do not come back to this palace without fulfilling this simple job that I gave you. The king ordered his men. After they abducted Ikemefula, They were dragging him into the forest. He did not know where they were going or who they were that had him hostage. They kept him inside the thick forest, tied his hands and his leg, and covered his face. He only sat and prayed to the gods while he heard them discuss. They are planning to kill him and bury him inside the forest. He cried to the gods. He told the gods in his heart as he cried, "The reason why you sent me to this earth hasn't been fulfilled. I cannot die like a coward," he said. His heart was broken when all of a sudden the spirit of the great warrior, Ayaka, his father, appeared before them in the forest. He knocked out the warriors and set confusion in their midst while he untied Ikemefula and led him while they disappeared. When the warriors got back to their senses, they were confused. Where is this young man? Where did he go to? How did he escape? They said to themselves, the king will have our heads in a platter. What are we going to do? They said to themselves. Then one of them suggested, "We are going to lie, tell the king that the mission has been accomplished." That they decided to lie to King Ikemba. They lied to him that they eliminated Ikemefula and buried him in the forest. The king was happy when he got the news. Ayaka the Great and his son Ikemefula appeared in front of the seer's shrine. Then Ikemefula looked and saw him clearly. Ikemefula said to him, "I know who you are. I always see you in my dreams." Ayaka smiled and said to him, "Yes, I am your father and you are my son. I am proud of you. And remember, I will always be there to protect you," he said to Ikemefula. He looked back and smiled at Ikemefula. Then he disappeared. Ikemefula was shocked. He just saw his father. He was surprised. He was still in the state of shock when the seer bowed to him and called him Great One, a child of destiny. The seer said to him, "It is time." Ikemefula asked him, "It is time for what exactly, wise one?" He brought out the crown which adorned his head at birth and handed it over to Ikemefula. He said to Ikemefula, "It is time." Ikemefula recognized the crown. He said to the seer, "This is the crown my mother told me about. She said it adorned my head at birth." The seer smiled and said yes. Then the seer went ahead to reveal to him that the woman is not his real mother. The seer revealed to him everything about him, his father, Ayaka, how he was murdered by King Odumodu, and how the king cut off his mother's tongue in order to seal the secret of the death of his father. Ikemefula was shocked. He could not believe his ears. The seer said to him, "It is time for you to restore all that was stolen from your father." As he handed over the crown to Ikemefula, he told Ikemefula to hold on to the crown. When Ikemefula held the crown changed and turned into a sword, a golden sword. Then the seer said to him, "You were born with a sword to avenge that which was done to your family. It's not going to be an easy task, but you will do it." King Ikemba is not a mere mortal, the seer continued. He cannot be killed ordinarily. The sword in your hand you will use to eliminate him. That is the only way for the land to be totally free from him. It is your destiny. It is your destiny, he said. Ikemefula was still processing all that the seer have said when he looked and saw Ijawele whom the seer has revived finally as she lay on the mat sleeping peacefully. His heart was at peace when he realized that Ijawele is safe. The seer encouraged Ikemefula to pass the night at his shrine because he is no longer safe outside his shrine. He said, "That was why your father brought you here." In the morning, King Ikemba threw a party at his palace, invited all the villagers to celebrate. He was indirectly celebrating the death of Ikemefula, but he told the people that they are celebrating the cleansing of the land. When the people gathered at the palace in celebration, the seer walked in with Ikemefula in the palace. King Ikemba was shocked. He looked at his guards. He could not believe they betrayed him. Then the seer said to him, "King Ikemba, the son of Odumodu, your time as the king of Zuma Kingdom has come to an end. Step down, for the rightful king is here." The king demonstrated to his interpreter, who now interprets and said, "The king said he will never step down for any mortal, that he is here to rule forever." Immediately, war broke out in the palace as Ikemba's loyal warriors attacked Ikemefula and Obinna. With the blood of their fathers running through their veins, Ikemefula and Obinna swung into action and fought the warriors. They eliminated all Ikemba's loyal men in a twinkle of an eye. Ikemba was surprised. Ikemba attacked Ikemefula with his powers. Ikemefula was fast enough to wage it with his sword. The fire from his hands could not penetrate Ikemefula. As Ikemefula stood in front of King Ikemba with his sword raised high, Ikemba laughed at him and said, "Did you not know that no mortal weapon can kill me? I am a god in the land of the living," he said and laughed. Ikemefula simply said to King Ikemba, "Between the both of us, we will know who is truly the god among men." Then he drove the sword directly into the heart of King Ikemba. The sword penetrated his chest and right in front of the whole villagers and the seer. King Ikemba turned to dust and scattered in the wind. There and then, the kingmaker, Onowu Gonabo, hugged Ikemefula. He said, "I knew it. I knew there was something about you. I never knew you were the son of my late brother, Ayaka." He hugged him so tightly as he shed tears of joy. He was overwhelmed by the ways of the gods. Then right there, Ikemefula knelt down as he was crowned the king of Zuma land. The villagers were filled with life. They were happy for the new king and the death of the tyrant King Ikemba. Ijawele was crowned the queen of Zuma Kingdom, alongside the love of her life, Ikemefula, the king of Zuma land. Obinna became Ikemefula's right-hand man and special advisor. They were inseparable. Queen Ijawele went into labor and delivered of a set of twins, a boy and a beautiful baby girl. The seer said to him, "Your mother has reincarnated as your daughter." King Ikemefula loved his daughter so much. Whenever he looks at her, he sees the striking resemblance of his late mother, who sacrificed everything to keep him alive. King Ikemefula ruled the people of Zuma land with wisdom. He was full with understanding. He loved his people so much. The land flourished with great harvest and prosperity. So that is how King Ikemefula, the son of the great warrior Ayaka, returned the land of Zuma Kingdom to its great glory.